system where everybody in the hearing room can hear you. You've been called out of order as a witness for the city, the city department on this matter, and I need to place you under oath if that's okay. Are you ready to testify?
Yes, I am.
All right. Sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this afternoon to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. I will now give Mr. McFarland an opportunity to introduce you and ask any questions that he might have.
So just as a brief department presentation to Mr. Fieltsch's testimony, he is the expert that the city has used with respect to pipeline safety. He will explain how he is familiar with the DNVGL report that PSE's pipeline expert discussed earlier today. He also was familiar with the analysis that went into the conclusions regarding pipeline safety reached in the EIS. And he has also assisted with the city and our environmental consultants at ESA with respect to the conditions of approval that go to pipeline safety that are embedded in the director's recommendation in the staff report. And I do, before we get to Mr. Fieltsch's testimony, I do want to make 2 quick points for the record. Number one, we have heard a lot of public testimony about pipeline safety. The city heard that public testimony both with the communications during the EIS process and during the land use process. And the voice of our citizens and testimony that we heard, the comments we received, that is directly what led to the city's efforts to provide the conditions that we included in the staff report. So we heard the public, and that's where these conditions come from. Now, I do want to point out that over the course of the land use process and this hearing, which is now in its 2nd day, we have not heard any expert testimony that challenges those conditions or even really talks about pipeline safety. We've heard lay testimony, but we have not heard expert testimony. The nonprofits that are opposing this project did not present a pipeline safety expert, and we have heard a lot of quality and thoughtful lay testimony, but not expert testimony. We also have confirmation from the applicant, PSE, that they accept the conditions of approval. They are not objecting to the conditions of approval. So we have our expert here solely for the purpose of providing edification to the hearing examiner, particularly based on what the hearing examiner said this morning regarding pipeline safety, and in order to make sure that we have a complete and full record regarding the conditions of approval. But we are not really rebutting any expert testimony with our expert because we have not heard any expert testimony during the land use process or during this hearing. So I just want to be clear about that. This is for a complete record and mainly to make sure that the hearing examiner fully understands how we got from the EIS process to the conditions of approval in the staff.
Mr. McLean, I'd like to interject an objection.
Do you have an objection, Mr. Johnson?
I have an objection.
Microphone, if you would, please, sir.
I have to object and beg to differ. We've had at least 2, maybe 3 electrical engineers speak to this subject. Certainly when it comes to arcing and corrosion of pipes, that's pipeline safety. I don't know if there's a broader category of pipeline safety expertise beyond that, but to say that there's been none, I think is not.
Okay. Good point.
And I will respond to that by saying those did not go to the conditions of approval. And also I would welcome the CVs and the names of those individuals so that we can make sure that they're included as experts.
And they may be, because a number of people handed up written materials with the comments, and I don't believe you've had an opportunity to peruse those because they were probably just emailed through your office email this morning.
True. Understood. So without further ado, we will let Mr. Fieltsch discuss how we got to the conditions of approval.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Is it pretty clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'll start with an introduction. So my name is Wolfgang Fieltsch. I'm a professional engineer. I'm also also certified by NACE, which is National Association of Corrosion Engineers, and a cathodic protection specialist, which is the highest level in that category, and that cathodic protection is basically corrosion control. I have over 20 years of experience in corrosion on pipelines, design of corrosion control systems, DC interference, and as well as AC interference from power lines on pipelines. I've performed well over 100 AC interference studies, which are, on pipelines that are co-located or in the same corridor as high voltage power lines. And these date back to the late 1990s. I've also authored several published papers that I've authored on the topic of AC interference and AC corrosion. And I'm presently employed by Stantec Consulting Service Limited, and I've been there for 4.5 years. Background, a little bit of background on AC interference. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but just to let everyone know that shared corridors between pipelines and power lines are extremely common and more prevalent these days. So it's nothing out of the ordinary to have a corridor that is shared between these two systems and utilities. The risk of AC interference in pipelines is also well known in the industry, as are the means of mitigating those risks. There are regulations and standards that are followed when addressing these concerns, and that govern what assessment is required and mitigation is required and provide criteria and limits. We also now have very complex modeling software that allows us to accurately model the interference risk and design mitigation systems, and many times prior to installation of either the pipeline or the power line. Pipelines also have testing facilities and monitoring facilities that are installed along them, which allow measurement of the AC interference level when we do encounter power lines. And the other thing to note as well that I just wanted to make everyone aware is that older pipelines are not as susceptible to AC interference as newer ones. AC interference is typically the greatest on newly coated pipelines, which are really well coated. And that's why many years ago, we talked about pipelines in the 50s and 60s, there was very little emphasis ever placed on AC interference problems and risk. That just basically became common practice in the 1980s and 1990s, and that's when new, very good coatings were introduced. And some of these coatings are so good that there's very few holidays, if any, or let's say holidays are basically holes in the coating. And when that happens, you reduce a lot more voltage on the pipe, and the voltage and the current that's on the pipe cannot get back to earth. And that's how we basically mitigate, is we would ground the pipe and so it allows the current to go back to the earth. So that was one point I would like to make about these Olympic pipelines are older and therefore have coexisted in the corridor with the power lines for probably more than 50 years. And because they are not well coated, well, I shouldn't say not well coated, but it's an older coating, which isn't up to the same standards as the newer coating, the risk, the AC interference risk would be lower. So just to give a little background, Stantec was retained by PSE to perform a review of the AC interference study that was prepared by DNVGL. Our review indicated that the study was performed to standard industry practice and inquiring all of the kind of criteria and standards that are available in the industry. The purpose of the study was to design the power line to ensure that it is having as less or the least amount of influence on the pipeline as possible. So in the study, they evaluated several different routes and recommended the optimal route, which is, I believe, the Willow A route. The optimal phase arrangement was also determined. And the reason this is important is because if you have two circuits, if you arrange the phases in a certain arrangement, you have field cancellation, and therefore you have less of an electromagnetic field that is impacting the pipeline. The other thing in the finding in the study was that both circuits are to be operated at 230 kV instead of operating them at different voltages, which would increase the AC interference levels. And also that a shield wire would be installed, and this shield wire would mitigate the fault and arcing risk to the pipeline. And the other item was to ensure safe separation from the pipeline to mitigate those arcing risks. Based on the above system, it was anticipated in the study that the AC interference levels would not exceed the limits indicated in the governing NAES standards, which are National Association of Corrosion Engineers. We made several recommendations as the study that was performed by ENGGL at this time was more of a sensitivity study to address the design of the power line. So our recommendations centered around the following main items. One was to remodel pipelines and the power line, incorporating the final route of the power line and all the final design configurations and parameters, operating parameters of the power line, and also to obtain more pipeline data from Olympic, so that can also be entered into the model and should be more accurately modeled. We also recommended that some additional modeling be performed related to fault conditions on the power line and calculation of arcing risk, and to ensure safe separation between the power line structures and the pipes so that those distances be maintained. And we recommended that site measurements and monitoring be performed on the pipeline post-energization to ensure that all the risks have been successfully mitigated. So as I mentioned about the pipeline, these lines are older lines, and therefore the current can more easily get back to ground off the pipeline, and you would induce significantly less voltage and AC current on the pipeline than if they were new lines that are extremely well coated. The lines have been in this pipelines have coexisted with the 115 kV power line for a significant amount of time, which indicates that that the risk was pretty low. The AC interference risk at least is quite low in this corridor. The new power line is being designed to further reduce the AC interference risk, and every attempt is being made to ensure, based on the above recommendations, to ensure that the influence and the interference levels would be reduced as much as possible by designing the power line and the route, and the operating parameters and so on. Basically to fine-tune those based on what was recommended in the DMV report. The additional AC modeling will further ensure that the risks are mitigated, and these results will be shared with Olympic to ensure that they are made aware of any remaining risks and then able to address those if required. The other thing to keep in mind is that pipelines are regulated federally, the DOT and PHMSA, and must adhere to industry standards, and NAES is a standard that's followed by the regulators for corrosion. And as such, they must be monitored to meet certain requirements. All of these pipelines will have test facilities, and these are used to measure corrosion protection levels to ensure that they meet the requirements and that there are no corrosion risks. At these test stations, AC voltages are also measured to assess the interference levels. Pipelines typically also have to inline inspections or indirect inspections to ensure that to measure corrosion rates or pitting on the pipeline as well. And bids are often performed to ensure that if the corrosion is beyond a certain level, that it's repaired and detected. So all of these findings from the report, as well as our recommendations, were entered into the EIS. like any mitigation or monitoring and so on of the pipeline is in Olympic jurisdiction. However, all of the mitigation measures to reduce the interference levels on the power line side were included there, as well as in the conditions of approval. And so, and the main additional items, so one of them obviously was all the items that I listed before as far as routing, the optimal routes and power line configuration and operating conditions, as well as one of the other conditions was to redo the study and incorporate all of the new information and the final design of the power line, as well as additional information, to obtain additional information on the pipelines from Olympic, and incorporate all of those into the final model to have as accurate a model as possible. And of course, to follow that up with field testing and verification, which PSE would coordinate with Olympic, and it would be up to Olympic to do all the monitoring and ensure that there are no risks left on their system based on the field data. I think that's all I was going to cover today, unless there were any additional items.
I think if the hearing examiner has questions, we're certainly available to answer those right now.
Mr. Fieltsch, this is the hearing examiner, Gary McLean. In your professional experience, have you ever been involved in a scenario in a project such as this, where you have the co-located transmission line with, we'll say, an older, aging pipeline, and where the environmental recommendations, conditions of approval pertaining to the transmission line were somehow filed with, brought to the attention of the pipeline company, which is a separate entity, or the regulators that deal with that entity? Have you ever done that? And do you think it's a best practice if that should happen?
Yeah, so I can, the typical, I've dealt with a lot of pipelines, like older pipelines, that were often maybe not in a power line corridor, and new power lines are being built and going to be paralleling that corridor. So I've done a lot of studies related to that, as well as, power line upgrades in existing joint corridors. So that I've done. Typically, the way, in my experience, the way it's been done is that the power line operator may retain a consultant early on to perform a study to see what the impact would be on the pipeline, and that would give them an idea of how they can optimize their route and design their power line to minimize the impact. But in most cases, there's the odd exceptions. So I've been involved in another project. This was a big one. It was up in Alberta, in Canada, where it was basically led by the power utility. But typically, the pipe operator will retain a consultant that they're comfortable with and that they trust to perform the study. That's the more common approach that I've seen. And then they are compensated by the power utility. That's typically how I've seen it done. And this is really the first, project where I've been involved in a public hearing related to AC interference. Yes.
I'm not sure you understood my question. It's probably best posed to
Okay.
the city's CEPA official. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fieltsch. Do you have a follow-up to anything, Mr. McFarland, with it?
I do not. Thank you, Mr. Fieltsch, and thank you for your patience.
Disconnected. Okay. Ms. Stead, are you the CEPA official? Or?
I am.
Okay. If you turn the mic to you. I know that this is probably outside my authority, but it's probably significant. But is it a practice of your office in a situation such as this where, and let me just start at the beginning. I'm concerned about silos and left hand not talking to the right hand. And you and I may not be working as contractors or employees in the city of Bellevue with doctors for 10 years or 15 years. When Olympic Pipeline may come in at some point to do upgrades or modifications to the pipeline. And it seems that the city has done an extraordinary amount of study, whether people agree with it or disagree with it, but it's been done. And it has recommendations and it has points of view about what's safe, what's not, grounding, things of that sort, that seem awfully relevant to what Olympic might do in the future. So is there a way that this SEPA study will be co-filed with a suspense file for future Olympic pipeline work in the vicinity, and perhaps filed with the UTC or any other body that has regulatory authority to greenlight any type of new upgrade? And the specific I'll give you here is where he made a very clear point that newer pipelines pose greater risks. It's not Puget's responsibility to tell them to add more grounding. It might be yours, it might be some other agency, but I heard that today, and I'm just thinking it would behoove you as the SEPA official to make sure it's in the right box.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment, Mr. Examiner. I think that's very well thought out. We don't have a specific plan in place for that at this point in time, but I do believe that's something that we can do.
I will leave it with you because I think that's probably a pregnant question that a lot of people have, and it's not within my authority, but I just leave you there, and I appreciate you all taking the time to get in on the line today. So, okay. All right, I need to take a comfort break for a couple of minutes, and then when we come back, we are going to turn to members of the public, and I believe we're going to be able to conclude all of the public testimony based on the list that I have. As soon as the list is exhausted, if people are present who did not sign up for some reason and feel they need to speak, I will probably allow you to speak at the tail end. And then I will turn to the parties and we'll talk about where we go next. I think you need to all be looking at your calendars, and Karen and I will talk about room availability days next week in the event we need that. Okay? Thank you all.